From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for August 5th, 2016. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at each of the U.S. currency pairs as we anticipate some high-impact news out of the U.S. today with non-farm payrolls. We have the average hourly earnings, unemployment rate, non-farm employment change coming up just at 8:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, about 40 minutes from the recording of this video. We also have some significant Canadian news as well at the very same time, employment numbers and trade balance out of Canada. So let's take a look at each of the U.S. currency pairs and see what we might anticipate depending on how that news comes out. Starting here on the U.S. franc, we're looking at the daily time frame. Of course, over the past few days, we saw a significant rise. The past week or so, a significant fall back down into support. Past 3 days, we saw a pretty decent retracement back higher. Not quite halfway, but pretty close to the 382 retracement of the previous downtrend leg that we've seen here over the past week or so. So it's found resistance. You can see that right here at the yellow shaded area yesterday and today so far. If we get some positive U.S. data, if the NFP comes out positive for the U.S., breaking through this yellow shaded area, which is 97.35 to 55, could see the market go higher. So positive U.S. data breaks through this resistance. Let's put a little arrow there, and we start to see it go higher, maybe back to the orange zone or higher if it's significantly positive. Now, negative U.S. data affects this in the other way. We see if negative NFP, we have lower jobs, lower wages, higher unemployment rate. If that's the case, then we would look for this to turn back lower from this yellow shaded area and target back down to the blue zone. So again, coming up, positive or negative, we know if it's positive, this sends this currency pair higher. Negative sends this currency pair lower from this yellow shaded area. Selling at the yellow shaded area if it's negative, buying above the yellow shaded area if it's positive news for the U.S. Let's take it over here to the euro dollar. Just the exact opposite here. We have seen, of course, over the past week and a half or so, a rise for the euro dollar coming up towards this green trend line, the 100 period moving average, as it's capped out here at this yellow shaded area here in the middle of the chart. Over the past couple of days, though, we saw a pullback, a bearish engulfing candle. You might look at it like that with this large red candle. Came back down, came back up underneath today, coming back up underneath this pink zone. So the pink zone is the major player for the day today. Positive news affects this currency pair in the fact that if it's U.S. positive, it sends this currency pair lower. So if it's U.S. positive, we'd be looking to sell from the pink shaded area. Positive U.S. news causes this currency pair to go down. If it's negative news or not great news, we might look for the market to break through this pink zone. Again, pushing through there, we know that the next significant resistance level is this yellow shaded area, depending on how negative that news might come out. If it's negative, it sends it back higher. Positive news sends it back lower. We'll challenge the green zone, of course, where we've already have found some support over the past couple of days. Anything underneath that green zone could look for the market to push all the way back down to the lows into the 1.1 thousand level, depending on how significantly positive the news is. So we know what to look for today. The pink shaded area is the major player here for the resistance zone. Positive news, we sell from the pink zone, we look for it to go down. Negative news, we look for the break of the pink zone, and this currency pair to go back up for the euro dollar. Take it over here to the GBPUSD. Of course, yesterday we had some significantly negative news for the UK. The cut of interest rates, the raise or expanding of the quantitative easing program caused this currency pair to go down significantly. We had some profitable opportunities as the market went down from the resistance high. By the way, we've been stuck in this little black box for the past several weeks. We can see that here at the bottom right-hand corner of the chart. Taking it down to the 4-hour time frame, again, we could see the big fall yesterday. Again, we're coming back up to resistance now. Take a look at this. I'm going to try and move this black box over. If you just give me just a moment to see if I can grab a hold of it. There it is. We can see that the market fell from the yellow zone, coming back up to the green shaded area. So the green zone's kind of our hinge point today. If it's positive U.S. news, we look for resistance at the green zone, another challenge of the purple zone, which, by the way, take a look at these blue circles. We have not seen a breakout underneath that purple zone. So if it's positive US data, we look for the break of that purple zone and the continuation of the downward slide for the GBPUSD. Now, negative news might see another challenge, depending on how negative it is. A challenge of the green zone. Anything above that green zone, we're likely to see the market take a turn back to the top of our little range that we've been in, the yellow shaded area at the very top. And of course, we'll look for resistance there again, just like it has for the past several weeks. So, positive news on the US data sends us lower. Negative news, maybe a break of the green zone, depending on how negative it is, because we did have some significant negative news out of the UK yesterday. But a breakdown of the purple zone, clearly looking for a new low for the GBPUSD. Take it over to the USCAD. This one's going to be a little bit trickier because we do have Canadian news at the very same time. If it's significantly positive or negative for Canada, that also could have some high impact volatility for this currency pair. So let's talk about both news sets of news. One out of Canada, one out of the U.S. Positive Canadian news. If it's positive for Canada, we look for this currency pair to go down. So that changes the trend from the blue trend line back to the downside. If it's negative news out of Canada, of course, we look for this to go back up from this blue trend line. Negative news sends this out of Canada, sends this back up again. Positive news for the U.S. If it's positive for the U.S., we again look for this currency pair to go up from the blue trend line and return to the uptrend. If it's negative U.S., we look for the potential of the break of the blue trend line and for this currency pair to go down. Oil prices, we've been watching that for the past couple of days, did rally back into resistance and pressure a little bit higher into the resistance level yesterday. Doesn't matter which oil price you look at, you can see it rallying back higher. Doesn't mean it's an uptrend. We saw that back up here at the blue circle as well. It just means we're into resistance. So what does that mean over here for Canada? Well, if we see that continued resistance and it turns down, we would look for this also. We would look for this to also to turn back higher, negative correlation. If oil continues to go up, we would look for this to slide back lower again for the Canadian dollar. So lots of things affecting this currency pair. May not be the easiest currency pair to deal with today with all the news that we have going on right now in the market. Let's go ahead and zip it on over here to the USDJPY. We're at multi-year lows. Of course, we've talked about that in the live trade room. 100.50 up to 101.0. The blue shaded area at the very bottom of the chart. Take a look. We zoom it way out like this, and we can see we haven't been here in quite a long time. So multi-year lows at the bottom of the downtrend. Difficult place to go short and sell this currency pair, but we've been looking at this blue zone down here at the very bottom of the chart. You can see obviously we found support there. If it's negative news for the US, we look for the turn under the blue zone, underneath 100.50, probably looking for a new low for the US yen. Positive news might look for some further support here at the blue zone and maybe becomes a reversal point back above the pink shaded area. Could be the reversal that this currency pair needs. So if it's significantly positive for the US, look for this currency pair to turn higher. Negative sends this currency pair lower for the US yen today. Next, moving over to the AUDUSD, we've seen this challenging again back into the resistance level here, the green shaded area that you see on the chart, the two red circles, the three blue circles, all of these levels showing resistance into this green zone between 76.50 and 76.85. That's the green shaded area at the top of the chart. So we know that that's resistance. Not too hard to see that here on the chart, that green shaded area is resistance. So what we're looking for is if it's positive news for the U.S. Positive news for the U.S. sends this back down, finding resistance back down to the pink zone or lower for the AUDUSD. Negative news for the U.S., significantly negative news, likely looks for the final break of this green zone and sends it back to the highest highs, which is the yellow shaded area, into the mid to upper 7,700s. Towards 7,800 is that yellow shaded area. So negative news sends us back to the yellow zone, breaking through the green zone, back to the yellow zone. Positive news, once again, we'll look for resistance, as we've seen multiple times, and the market to turn back lower once again for the Australian dollar. And lastly, over here to the NZD/USD, we've been kind of stuck in a period of congestion at the top of the trend. See the long-term trend, the black trend? We've been up here towards the top of the trend for quite a long time, into the top of the blue box. This is the daily time frame. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. Take a look. We've been stuck inside this black box for the past several days. Support at the blue zone, resistance at the green shaded area here for the New Zealand dollar. Now, let's talk about positive news. If it comes out positive on NFP, significantly positive, we'll look for resistance once again at the green zone. the possibility of falling back down to the blue zone on positive news, and a break of the blue zone likely changes the trend pattern back to the downside. Negative news out of the U.S. sends us back above the green zone, breaking through 72.40, breaking through that resistance high, and clearly, if it gets through there, we're back up here into the 7,300 level in the pink shade area. So again, negative news out of NFP and the earnings data today. We look for this to break the green zone and go higher. So buy above the green zone if it's negative news. Positive news, selling the green zone, targeting the blue zone or lower for the New Zealand dollar today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.